Hey everyone, welcome to Courtside Conversations. My name's Emile, founder and owner of Little Boomers Basketball, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Wherever you're watching today's episode, I hope you're having a booming day, and yes, the pun is intended. My journey to entrepreneurship started on May 1st, 2018 when I launched my first basketball program with 9 kids enrolled. Today, thousands of kids across Australia are thriving in our programs, all thanks to the commitment and passion of our incredible franchisees. This podcast is here to give you real, straightforward, no BS insights into business, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to own a franchise. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome everyone back to Courtside Conversations with Emile. Today's a really special episode and actually history has been made today. August 14th, we have our first guest speakers on the podcast. I'm going to introduce them in a bit, but here is what value you're going to get from today's episode. We're going to be talking about marketing, the bloodline of a business. Specifically, here's some of the things we're going to be talking about. We're going to hear from these fellas, their origin and story about how they started their business. We're going to be talking about marketing that actually works in 2025. If you're looking for a digital agency, 3 red flags to avoid, what you will do with $1,000 a month, how you can invest that into your business to get a return on capital. We're going to talk about marketing tactics that are dead in 2025 that people are still clinging into. We're going to talk about digital trends, what's happening with AI, marketing, where the future is going to be in the next 12, 24 months. Then we're going to talk about some awesome lessons from these entrepreneurs that they had, and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of challenges. Maybe you can relate. I think we've got something fun that we're going to finish off with that I think you might enjoy. Nevertheless, allow me to introduce you to Matthew and Joey from DNM Digital. Welcome, boys.
Thanks, thank you. Thank you. That was a good intro, man.
I appreciate that. Hopefully it gets a good hook rate. Now, what the heck does DNM stand for?
Yeah, good question. It stands for deep and meaningful.
Deep and meaningful.
Yes.
What did it used to stand for prior?
Always been deep and meaningful.
Deep and meaningful. Yeah. Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story coming into digital, how you started your marketing agency and your whole journey from where we're at to today.
Yeah, do you want to go prior to like where I've started or?
Yeah, you can go there and then bring us to where you're
at. Okay, cool. So studied marketing at uni, realized that even though I studied marketing at uni and when I got out of uni, I actually didn't know anything about marketing.
What did you study in uni?
I studied Bachelor of Commerce major in marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. So uni's great, don't get me wrong. Get to meet people, have fun and all the rest of it. But from a digital marketing perspective, they're still not really teaching it at uni. So you learn a lot more on the job. I struggled to get a job out of uni within marketing. I actually got a sales role. I was cold calling, which was fun. Broke me, but that's okay.
We lives up.
And then from there, I got poached from the first agency I got the pleasure to working for, built up a lot of my skills, built my way up to management and managing a team of account managers, and then figured that I wanted to take the next step in my journey. And I saw that there was a gap in the industry. What I mean by gap is I didn't see that there was a digital marketing agency out there that I would trust to refer to my friends and family. And that's why I wanted to bring DNM Digital to life. And I was lucky enough to meet great people along the way, such as Joseph and Daniel, who are my 2 business partners.
Yep.
DC in Spirit. Yeah, DC here in Spirit. And
is that his name? DC, or is that Nicholas?
And that's how DNM Digital came alive. We came together, and we all wrote on a piece of paper what we wanted it to stand for. And I'm not going to spoil it because this was actually Joseph's idea, so I'll let Joseph carry on here.
Yeah, so I'll give a bit about my story, and then we can sort of go into that. But I've got a construction management degree. Worked in construction for quite a few years, but just didn't like it. I think I used to tell you back in the day, like, I'd be pre-drinking at Emil's house and be like, bro, hate it. I've got to wake up early in the morning. I can't go out for too long. So did that for a long enough time. But I'd always think the back of my mind, when I'm 60, am I going to love what I'm doing? And that was the biggest thing. I was like, nah, I'm not going to like it. So quit that. I took a bit of a gap year, you can call it, a bit of an experimental phase. Did a few things, did a bit of sales.
There's drop shipping, I remember.
Drop shipping, yeah. And then I Instagrammed, I DM'd my old boss, said I'd love to work for you for free. There's an opportunity to come have a chat. And then, yeah, we worked at a digital marketing agency, built up my skills there. That's where I met Daniel and Matt. Things sort of split for a little bit and then got back together, had a bit of a chat after that, and here we are.
So can I ask you, because I know you personally well, Joey, you and your family, a long line of construction workers in the construction space. You're probably one of the first ones in your family to completely venture out of that and move into the digital marketing space in your own agency. Number one, your family probably didn't accept that. You probably would have had a lot of challenges with parents and stuff. You're leaving the family construction business. What are you doing? How was that change for you, and why? I know you mentioned that a little bit before. Why did you decide to move away from construction and enter a completely different field in the marketing space?
It's funny. Till today, if I told my dad, if someone asked my dad, "What's your son do?" He says construction. He still doesn't know what I do. So my dad still reckons I'm in construction or I'm playing Dan can line a computer. That's as far as he goes. So was it hard? It was, because my parents were very much so saying, like, you spent 4 years doing a degree. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. You can really make it work. Why are you in the switch after spending all this money, after spending all this time? But to me, I felt like there was something different out there for me. And it's not to say that I sort of foresaw DNM happening. It wasn't like that. It was more so one step at a time. It was like, what's that next step? I was just trying to find what I really wanted to do. So to answer your question, yeah, they didn't love the idea, but mum was all for trying new things, and mum was all for, look, if it makes you happy, go do it. So that was sort of that approach there. And man, just one step at a time. One step at a time I always try and emphasize that, like, just take that first step, suss it out. And for me, that one step at a time sort of took me to where I am today.
So you boys run your own digital marketing agency here in Sydney. Here's you, Joseph, and Daniel. For somebody that doesn't know, what the heck is a digital marketing agency? Matthew, if you can summarize in like 30 words or less, what is it that you offer to the world?
So the core thing that we offer is business growth. So like if you're looking to take your business to that next level and you've hit a plateau, or you're growing, you just don't have the right partner to know where you should go next, that's when you engage with a digital marketing agency.
So if I'm running a business and I'm not getting much customers, or I'm not getting as many customers as I would like, I'm not getting any leads, I'm not selling anything online, or things that plateau, I would come up to you for your services. Is that right?
Correct. Or you'd need a business coach, depending on what the problems are, like the core problems are. But if it's just down to the fact that you're not getting enough people through the door and all your processes are A-OK, then yeah, you need a digital marketing agency.
And is the digital marketing space right now regulated or unregulated?
Still unregulated.
It brings me to my next question. I'm in the space, I've dealt with agencies before.
Yeah.
It's it could be a very ugly side. And you mentioned before, when you wanted to start your own agency, you saw a gap in the market, you saw agency owners that weren't fulfilling on their promise, and you said, you know what, I don't want to be like that. If somebody is exploring a digital marketing agency and you can tell them, hey, this is 3 red flags to look out for, because you know it all. If you get these 3 red flags during a presentation or whatever, walk the other way, what would those 3 red flags be?
I can name heaps, but the core ones that I see most of the time is if you want to make, so just give everyone a bit of context to this answer. When you get assigned a team from a digital marketing agency, you tend to typically get a account manager, and then behind the account manager would be the specialist. Whether you're doing SEO, you get an SEO specialist, Google Ads, you get a paid media.
The account manager is who you're speaking to on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Correct. Most of the time in these agencies, they will offshore everything past the account manager. And in some cases with particular agencies, they're actually offshoring the account manager. So you're paying quite a bit of money if you're like, it doesn't matter what stage of the business you're in. Let's say you're paying 2 to 3K in management fees. That's quite a bit of money. You could be essentially paying all that money to a complete offshore team. Okay, that's a red flag. If you'd ask the account manager, hey, who else is working on my account? I'd love to meet them and talk to them, and they steer away from that, red flag.
Why is it important that the account manager is inshore and not offshore?
Because they need to understand your brand. They need to understand like for example, we're talking about Little Boomers basketball. If you had to tell me, hey, I've got a franchise in Epping, I want to boost my awareness around there to help that franchise, but I don't know where the whole Epping is or the surrounding areas, I could mistake it for Epping in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah. Awareness of the location.
Yeah, local knowledge though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really comes into the strategy as well.
Okay, so red flag number 1 is pushing you to an offshore client. What would red flag number 2 be?
Number 2 is you don't own your assets. So some agencies, it's a very, very, very common thing, is you try to leave them after you've spent years or months with them, and they go to you, okay, you can go, but we're keeping your Google Ads account. We're keeping your Google Analytics account, or into certain extreme cases, we're keeping your website.
Well, okay. So for example, you helped me run my Facebook campaign. I set up a campaign. You've been setting up the campaign. I say to you, Matthew, I'm no longer interested in your services. You say, no worries. I'm taking that campaign back, and I don't have any of that available.
Yep.
Okay, that's a massive red flag.
It's like you're starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
It's like you never even should have engaged with them in the first place, because you've lost all your data, all your learnings, your whole setup. It's a big, big red flag.
To jump in here, most agencies will frame it as their IP. It's their knowledge on the account. It's their build out.
That's not good. That's not correct. It's not that.
What do you say? Yeah, I disagree. I totally disagree with that. So yeah,
If I set up a campaign, it's Facebook's IP. It's not their IP.
the way that they structure is it's their strategist's way of thinking. It's their strategist's way of doing. It's the company's way in which they create optimized campaigns. And so if you take that away, it's essentially their hard work. But it's a fine line, and we didn't stand for that, so we don't take that approach.
So red flag number 2 is if the agency says all the IP is mine, and if you leave, we take the IP. What would the third red flag be? For somebody that's completely new, they're looking at getting an agency, they don't know what to look for, what would the third red flag be?
I'd say the third red flag that I would say is if they're trying to force you into a long-term agreement without showcasing any value up initially. So they're saying off the bat, you need to jump into a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
And doesn't indicate anything around what they're going to do or how they're going to do it or what the results they might achieve. They're like, nah, we want you to lock in for 12 months and there's no ifs, no buts if you want to try and get out.
So being devil's advocate, what if they were to say, look, because a lot of people say this, SEO is a long-term gain. We want to lock you into a 12-month contract because SEO takes time. It's not like a Google Ads campaign where we can get you traffic or clicks straight away. That's why we're pushing for a 12-month contract. What would you say if someone said that?
So one thing that we do is, like Joey, when he engages with someone at first, he will encourage them, jump on us on a month-to-month agreement for the first 6 months. Let us prove to you that we can showcase improvement and results. And then from there, we'll put a 6 or 12-month agreement in with you if you're comfortable in signing off.
Okay, so there's like a little pilot phase first.
Yeah.
Give you an option to exit should you not be happy with the results. And then, hey, look, we've got this 6 month and 12 months. If you sign up for 12 months, you'll get a savings of X, Y, Z.
Correct. It's a benefit to us. We get business security, of course. But also, you don't want to lock someone into something that they don't know what it looks like on the other side. So the way that we frame it is it's like it's essentially a no risk option. Try us out, see how the team works, see how the team gels with you, understand our systems and processes. And don't get me wrong, in 6 months, maybe it's not even enough time to get the results, but if you're having a really good conversation with your account manager, you really respect the brand that we've built, you respect the processes and the systems, and you've had a few bad experiences, that's typically enough for you to say, cool, I can see how this is going to work. Give it another 6 or 12 months, we're at about 12 months might look like.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So 3 red flags. I'm completely new to digital marketing. My business has dried up or it's hit a plateau phase. I want to go to an agency to see what solutions they can offer. Red flag number 1, Matt, what did you say it was?
Red flag number 1 was knowing who the team is working on your account.
Not an offshore team. IP, I still have to have IP. So if you and I discontinue our relationship, I still got my campaigns on Facebook. I still got my campaigns on Google. And the third one is boxing me into a 12-month contract. I want to ask you this. I get a ton load of ads. Sign up with us. We'll guarantee you 10 leads in your first week. We'll guarantee you return on investment of times 5 or you don't pay. A lot of guarantees, and digital marketing agencies are putting guarantees behind them. We'll stop paying your management fee if we don't deliver you X. Matt, do you think that is a warning sign, or do you think, you know what, if they can do it, why not? What would your opinion on that be?
I'd say if I had to choose a 4th red flag, that would be the 4th. The reason being is typically what they say, like what would you deem is results? What would you deem is an increase? You know what I mean? There's all this fine print. If you go and actually engage with one of these agencies, there's this fine print that they will deem what the results are. So for an example, if they say, hey, we'll increase your rankings. All right, what keywords? On what pages? You know what I mean? Even if you're doing nothing,
you can't attribute it. You can't attribute.
Correct. Even if you're doing nothing, I can find you a tool out there. I can get any website and I can find a tool out there that will showcase growth. Because all these tools have different data backings. You know what I mean? So I think it's a last-ditch attempt from these agencies to try and grab work. And don't get me wrong, people fall for it. and you see it.
Because it's certainty. People want certainty.
Correct.
And they give them
But that
certainty.
certainty is false certainty. Like
Yeah.
it's
And to add to that, it's a sales rule. So a lot of the times it's that first 3 seconds, and if someone says, "I will guarantee your results," it's like, "Cool, guarantee. What's that all about?"
It's
People always come to me and say, "Hey, Joe, this company's guaranteed, and you haven't guaranteed." I said this in the last conversation we had. I actually want to deal by telling a client that I can't guarantee you anything. And I actually questioned the client to go question the agency and say, what metrics are you using to guarantee things?
like goods authority.
Yeah, what does this forecast tool look like? Like, where are you getting all this data that you can guarantee me this number of outcomes? What are you basing it on?
Yeah.
He came back and said, "Joe, man, I asked you, you didn't have the answers. It was a load of shit, a load of bullshit."
Yeah.
I said, "Let's go with you guys."
100%. You know what? I got a similar story. I'll say that. And you know what, Matthew, you're right. If I say to you, I can guarantee you 10 leads or whatever it is, what if those leads are invalid numbers, not your person, bouncing back? It's really hard to attribute that. So I can understand what you're saying. And you know what? I had a similar experience with somebody interested in franchise literally about a week ago. You want to talk about certainty. This person so she put a deposit down for an area.
Yeah.
And people that watch my podcast know I don't guarantee revenue. Because it's hard for me to guarantee something when the hard work's going to come from you. Yeah.
It's activity driven. If
We've
you
got-
do the work, then how is it on you?
It is. We've got systems, we've got models, we've got things in place, but I can't get you to pick up the phone. That's in your control. It's hard for me to tell you, hey, pick up the phone and call the daycares. So for me to put a guarantee on revenue, it puts me at a very sticky position. But this person put a deposit down, and as soon as you put a $3,000, by the way, it's refundable both ways. If they change their mind, if we change their mind, refundable both ways. As soon as she put that deposit down, she wanted a projection plan of how much she's forecasted to get. She wanted a business plan. She also wanted financial statements, P&Ls, like all these documents. And I said to her, and I was honest with her, I said to her, look, we have a tool where you can plug in numbers and see how much profit you can make, but these are based purely on what you can achieve. They're not guaranteed projections, nor am I saying if you can hit these numbers. It's purely at your discretion. But obviously that wasn't certainty for her. She wanted something a little bit more concrete, and she discontinued and we refunded her deposit. And I say my fault, short-term loss, 55K, but long-term, she would have come into the business and expected these ROI projections, and then she would have been calling up head office. I didn't get support. Revenue's not due. I'm getting this data. So you're right. Short-term loss, a long-term.
And you know what's
long-term play.
In our industry, and I've been doing this quite recently a lot, when you're going through insurance policies, they actually exclude as of late, in their terms and conditions, if you are telling clients you can guarantee or you're forecasting return on investment, they will not cover you in those circumstances. Yeah. Out there for everyone, if you're guaranteeing, good luck with your insurance.
Boys, I want to say, so marketing, the digital marketing space, especially in the last 10 years, has freaking exploded. Yeah. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's running their own agency, running their own SEO campaign, running their own Google. Like, it's the fastest growing industry. Along that with personal training, there's those and acai places. Just those three things, acai restaurants, left, right, and center. Those three things are just being exploded, but specifically the digital marketing space. It's an extremely competitive landscape. Yeah. A lot of people trying to undercut, get the lowest price, people doing guarantees. What are you boys doing right now to differentiate yourself from all the competition that's in the market right now?
Yeah.
Matt?
I'll actually let it pass to John to Joe.
Yeah, it's funny. So there's a few things. First thing is transparency. If a client hops on a call with us and hops on a call with 5 other agencies, we are the most transparent. I will tell them what they're going to get every single month prior to engagement. I'll tell them how much it's going to cost with no hidden costs, and they'll have a full scope from the get-go. It's not to say they had a full strategy, but they have a full scope in terms of what they can expect. And that's the first thing. Second thing is, we mentioned the 12-month agreements. Everyone's only pushing to these 12-month agreements. Why? Because it's
Security, revenue up front. Yeah.
revenue up front.
Yeah.
I let the results do the talking. We let the relationship do the talking. So again, it's not a matter of I can get results overnight. I really educate on the first call from a sales perspective. It will take time to get the results, but I can judge a company based on the first few interactions they have. And so if we know from the get-go, and Matt's built this out quite well in the account management system, if they have a really good experience or a really onboarding experience, first impression, it sets the tone.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, I'll talk from a sales perspective. Our clients set the tone for our business. We do that well by our clients that they become that sales rep for us. They become that sales rep on our behalf. So when someone says, oh, it's so cutthroat, all these agencies that are playing in this guarantee space or this really cheap space, that's not our market. Our market's getting good, strong brands on board, doing really good by them. And then they actually become our network of growth.
Referrals.
Referrals are massive. Ads will be massive. So I don't need to spend $5,000 a month on ads, promising, guaranteeing, undercutting. We take care of our team. They do really good work for our clients, and that becomes a network of opportunity.
So your number one channel right now for getting new customers is through referrals?
Yes.
And I think that's an indication of the service you deliver, because people won't be referring to you if you're not delivering a good service. You know, you mentioned something interesting. I read in Alex and Moses' podcast that 24-hour post-sale, as in they paid you, is the most pivotal part that determines whether the client believes what you're going to give them is going to fulfill their need.
Yeah.
As an example, what a lot of people do, they get a sale and then they don't hear back from someone in 1 or 2 days, right? And automatically the customer's getting red bells, right?
Yeah.
Versus after the sale, hey, Jane, thanks so much for coming on board. Matt's going to get in touch with you. He's going to call you within the next hour. Matthew calls an hour. Hey, Jane, welcome aboard. Having a pleasure. We're going to do an onboarding session. I've already sent an email. I'll see you on Zoom in a couple of hours. You need even Zoom in another hours. Boom, boom, point after point after point. Touch point, first 24 hours, the customer's impressed. Like for us, when a franchisee just paid 55, 60 grand for a franchise, that's a lot of money, right? Imagine if they don't hear anything for the first 2 days. Like, dude, look, where's everyone gone? You know, I heard from Emile touching base prior to the agreement being signed. Well, where's he gone? Well, as soon as somebody signs, they get an introduction to Greg. Greg introduces himself. They do their first 2-hour onboarding with them. He gets their custom email signature set up. He organizes a weekly catch up on the Zoom, talks about their launch plan. So straight away, the person feels like, okay, I'm at ease. There's comfort. There's a plan. There's somebody in touch. Yeah. But the 24 hours post-sale, probably the most important.
Critical. Back at previous agencies, I've seen where they delayed it and the customers called and said, hey, what? You paid my money and you're gone. Yeah, like it's very, very important. One thing that we do is the moment a client signs an agreement or a Panda doc, and we get that on our side, there's automatically something that I type up manually. Welcome to the community. We're really excited to have you on board. This is the account manager. They're going to give you a call whenever they're going to give you a call. This is their contact number. This is their email. This is their name. And I also give them a lot of next steps. So they've got a bit of homework to do on their side. They know when they're going to get that next touch point from, the account management team, so Matt's department. It's all systemized.
You know what? It's exact parallels with our industry. Like, for example, if somebody signs up, like let's say Joey wished them the world prior to signing, we're going to get the rankings up, you're going to get revenue, you're going to get leads, and they come into the door, right? And then Joey didn't fulfill on his promise. He said he was going to get in contact with them. He didn't. He said he was going to get this. That didn't happen. It's when you get a disgruntled a customer. Same thing us with franchising. Before the agreement, if I promised them, we're going to support you 24/7, right? We're going to call up daycares. We're going to call up schools. In your first 6 months, you're going to turn over about 80 grand in revenue. If I do all of this and they come into the door and none of that comes true, or Emile doesn't support, or we don't feel like we got that help, that's when you've got an angry customer and they're probably going to end exit. And that's what I'm noticing in the marketing space. They're getting sold one thing, they come in the door and there's incongruencies. It's not adding up. And then they get angry, then legal, then where's my money? And
Every conversation I have, I always throw in my mind, under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
If someone says to me, this agency said it's going to take 12 weeks, I say, no, it's actually going to take you 18.
Yeah.
So I don't try and beat on frame of results. I say it's going to take 18, but you know what? Give them a shot. Come back to me after 12 and let me know whether it worked or not. So again, it's going against the grain. It's like, cool, give it a shot. I'll speak to you in 12.
And you know what I'm thinking about it? If I'm speaking to you and I'm speaking to 2 other agencies and these other agencies have promised me we're going to do this, and then you say to me on the phone, look, I can't promise that I'm going to get this. We're going to do our best, but we might be able to treat this, but I can't guarantee you. Straight away, I'm like instant authority and trust. I'm like, okay, this guy at least is being honest with me, whilst these 2 other agencies were really piping it up.
If someone signs the agreement on your side, what's the sort of post-signing look like on the little bills?
So when they sign the agreement, they get a phone call from everyone up in head office. 3 minutes, Ben, easy. They get a phone call from everyone in head office, from me, from Greg, from Kimberly, from everyone, from welcoming to the team. I want them to feel supported from the day dot.
Yeah.
I want them meeting all the head office members. So they get a phone call, then they get an email introduction to Greg. Greg gets in touch with them within an hour. He organizes the first onboarding session, right? When if somebody comes into business, they've put a lot of their money, you want to give them ownership. So give them a custom email. They get their custom email already. with their email signature, their photo, so they can feel like, okay, I'm already part of that ownership level. Then from then on, Greg establishes a touch point. Every Monday at 11 o'clock, I'm going to call you. We're going to progress update our 90-day roadmap to make sure that, okay, sweet. Every Monday, I've got somebody I can call at 11 to make sure that I'm tracking along with my launch plan. But that's so important. You know, we've got to, like you, as soon as somebody signs, we've got a systemized way of doing that. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying today's episode. Just two quick things. If you're finding value from today's episode, if you can subscribe to our channel and share it to a friend, that would mean the world to me. I'm trying to make what is a very confusing space like franchising easy to understand so people don't make the wrong decisions later on in their life. And if you know anybody that might want to become a Little Boomers basketball franchisee, they love working with kids, they love sports and basketball, and they want to make a difference to their community, there's some links below that you can share with them. Enjoy the rest of today's episode. Okay, I'm a business owner. I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to get more customers, Matt. Like, I'm thinking like there's all types of business owners. Some that's got a lot of cash, some that's new.
Yeah.
Let's say I've only got $1,000 per month to spend. You know, I mean, Matt, I don't have enough money to fork out $3 or $4 grand for an agency. Maybe one day. I've only got $1,000 that I can spend on marketing, say 12 grand a year. For that business owner in that phase of their life, where would you recommend they spend that $1,000 to get the greatest yield on their return on investment?
Yeah, good question. So, and it's funny, we help a lot of friends and family down this route because, again, same thing. Like when you're starting off, you don't have this disposable cash lying around that you're just going to go willy-nilly going, here's $5,000 here, 10 grand there. You got to tie a budget. You got to make it work. You got to get an ROI so that you can get more budget. And where I typically point them, so the first question I ask them is, what is your immediate goal here? You need to have an immediate goal. If you have no immediate goal, you got to figure that out.
I just want to get customers in the doors as quick as I can. I want to sell more. I need more money in the bank.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple ways. Okay. So again, it all depends on the industry. What I would recommend is I need to make sure that they look prim and proper first. Looking the part is as important as being the part, because there's so many businesses out there that are the part, you know what I mean? But they don't look the part. So a lot of people would go and compare them to someone else that looks the part, and they might not actually be the part, and choose that one because they look the part. So I go to them and go, hey, go and invest in some social media, you know what I mean, marketing. And
are we talking organic? Are we talking ads?
Yeah.
So me on a camera saying, this is my service, we can help you out. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you got to make it look like, in this day and age, when people are evaluating a service or a product, one of the first things they go and look at is their social media platforms and see, are they legit?
I need to say, actually, that is the biggest turnoff. If I'm looking at a business and I go to their Facebook and he's got 47 Facebook likes, followers, and his last post was August 12th, 2012,
yeah,
straight away I'm like, man, this guy's dead. He's off. Straight turn off.
Correct. And it establishes an element of trust because why this person is investing in their business, they're investing in their personal brand, which we spoke about a lot before the podcast. They're investing in their actual brand. They look the part, you know what I mean? They look like they're not going to take your money and run.
Yeah.
They'll never see it again. So trust element's a big thing these days because there's a lot of scams out there. That's one thing. If they've got that part, you know what I mean? They look the part, they got a nice website, their socials are up and running and they're posting consistently, I would encourage an actual paid platform. So either Meta ads or Google ads, depending on their industry. And depending on the cost per click model. So like for an example, in certain industries, unfortunately, the cost per click is way too high in Google. So I'd recommend Meta ads and then vice versa. So if, for an example, the cost per click is actually competitive and attainable, then I'd encourage Google ads because there is pretty much if someone's searching up for a particular service or a particular product and you're running an ad for it in Google, you're showing up to their demand. You're more likely to convert.
Yeah.
So I would go there first. But if the cost per click is too high, so for an example, if you are a local plumber or a local electrician, and a lot of people don't know this, but the cost per click sit around $30 to $50 cost per click. So if you got $1,000,
someone clicks on that ad, $30.
Correct. So if you search up emergency plumber near me, we're in Elwood right now, emergency plumber Elwood. You know what I mean? That cost per click is probably $35. You've charged that poor bastard $35. Okay. You got to think if you have $1,000 spread over a month,
that's like 20 clicks.
Yeah,
not even. Yeah,
correct. If your conversion rate is a 3%, how many months is that going to take to get a conversion through?
Yeah,
a little too long.
Yeah. So it all depends on the industry, but again, first thing first, fix up your look, until you look the part. So website, socials, and the rest of it. So if that's the money you got to spend to fix that up, do it. Once you get past that part and you still have that same spend, then I'd look into a platform that's going to generate you leads, and that's going to be based on your industry.
When would you say somebody is ready to hire an agency? At how much per month should they be willing to invest?
Yep.
I know it changes industry to industry when they're ready for an agency.
Yeah. So again, this is how you can also choose between agencies is based on how they're pricing as well, because typically the guarantee agencies or the entry-level agencies are the ones that are going to take your money and run are the cheapest ones. I'd find someone that is somewhere in the middle, okay, not too expensive, but not too entry, so that you're going to get a proper service. So you know that where you're spending your money, you're actually going to get an Australian talent that's got your best interests to grow from. I would typically say the starting point is where you have about $3,000 disposable.
Yeah.
So you got enough money, you got enough budget to pay for their management fee, and then if you're in an ads platform, enough money to justify that within the ad spend as well. So your ad spend is more than the management fee.
Yeah, sure.
If your ad spend is less than the management fee, it's very, very hard mentally for you to justify the management fee. It's just the way it is.
You know, that's interesting. So you mentioned if somebody has $1,000 per month investing in posting organic content on their social media, for example, they jump on camera, guys, if you've got this leakage issue, this is how you fix it, value-based content. I think that's really important. That's a great stepping stone for somebody because it actually helps with reducing the cost you pay for a lead or for a customer. So for example, if somebody, let's say you're running a Google campaign and somebody clicks on your campaign, but they don't convert, they don't buy, they don't check out, or they don't submit an inquiry. Yeah. They then go on Facebook and they see a video of your company displaying the product or service. That's an instant touch point and an instant opportunity for them to go back and convert. So it actually reduces over time your cost per lead. Because people, when they say, I can see the argument, they're going to say, why would I post organically? Because I'm not going to get no return on investment, as in, they don't see the physical, I do one post, how much money am I making back? Well, it's not really the way of looking at it. It actually serves as a touch point for the customer to see, you know what, I wasn't interested in buying when I landed on their page, but I'll follow them on Facebook. Yeah. I followed them on Facebook, and I've seen this last week, their post, because we post 5 reels. I've seen their post 4 or 5 reels. They look like they know what they're talking about. They look like they're experts in the industry. You know what? I am going to actually purchase that. But you can't actually measure that ROI when you do organically, but that played a major role in bringing them down and eventually purchasing a product or service.
100%.
One thing that I do from a sales front, and it still ties into this heavily, every deal, before I even pitch them, I add them on LinkedIn and add them on Instagram, okay? Those 2 touch points. If I win the deal, they see our content touch point. If I lose that deal to another agency, and they're now gone, but they've accepted my
They still see it.
see a lot there.
Yeah.
And so when they're having that shit experience or when they're having that bad experience, it's going to do the sales for me.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Pointing into the organic content, really important. That's where you can have these little micro strategies. It's not going to get me leads overnight, but I lost the deal. He's gone to someone else. 4 months later, he's seeing 20 pieces of our content there. Let's just go back and give Joel buzz.
100%. And you know what? If the customer doesn't buy from you then or goes with someone else, posting organically keeps you top of mind. Customer testimonials, reviews, it keeps you top of mind.
Everyone's going to take this show to now on sales.
Yeah. Do you have any clients like we've had that have, because we don't win everything, you know what I mean? It comes through the door. We're very, very grateful when it does, but unfortunately, this is business. We don't win 100% of the deals that come through. But I'm telling you, I'd say that a lot of them that we've lost that we still wanted to work with, I would say come back eventually because we have stayed front of mind and we're putting value-oriented content out there, you know what I mean? So they're seeing our testimonial, little educational content, or something just fun about our team that showcases that we've got a wider team, you know what I mean? People like to see and put a face to the service that they're going to engage with, the product they're going to purchase.
You know what? Organic content is one of those things all businesses must do. It doesn't matter what industry. People will have an argument, organic content's not relevant to my business. I'm dealing with older or younger people. Like, no, organic content matters in every single business. It's one of those things I say I'm going to get across to, but I never do. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about marketing tactics, Matthew, that are dead in 2025.
Yeah.
That people are still clinging on to. They're dead, they're finished. But I don't know what it is. They've got some bond with it that they're still holding on to. What would you say those are?
I'd say the most common one that we see is black hat SEO. So with SEO, there's white hat and there's black hat Okay. And there's also grey hat, but I'm not going to get into that because it's getting quite technical when we start getting into that. So white hat SEO is the cleanest way of doing SEO. It's the most organic way in Google's eyes so that you can get your ranks and you're not risking anything. You're not at risk of getting punished from Google on the track because they can punish you. Black hat SEO is, and a lot of business owners will see this once they start, as soon as they create their business email and start posting anything and getting some visibility. If you check your spam, I'm guaranteeing you'll probably at this moment of time see about 30 different SEO agencies from God knows where trying to sell you backlinks for $100, okay? And you'd be surprised how many people I've spoken to in my time of doing digital marketing that have fallen for it. You know what I mean? They see it. They understand the metrics, so they think there's value behind it, and then they see an initial uplift, and then 3 to 6 months down the track, they just see bang. That is one thing though that worked very, very well when like in 2014 or prior. It did work back in the day. Black hat SEO was SEO. You know what I mean? Initially, back in the day, if you wanted to rank for a keyword, you could put the keyword as the same color as your background over and over and over again on your website, and it would rank. You could buy a whole PBN and point it towards your website, and it would rank. There's a lot of black hat tactics. It just doesn't work anymore. That's one that comes to mind. I don't know if you've got another one.
Facebook ads for drop shipping brands and businesses.
Oh, I've become tough. That's brutal.
All the time. I always take calls. It's like, hey, I've got a brand, I'm starting up, want to do marketing. I've heard Facebook ads works really well. I want to sell this product. Yeah. And I always thought, don't build yourself here. You got to build a brand. It's not about, don't get me wrong, there's still time for impulse buy. Some people will still buy, and some products might still work, but I can say 98% of the products.
Oh, drop shipping brands, yes.
Yeah, because people don't just want to buy. People don't buy a product. They buy a brand and they buy a story.
Yeah.
And with dropshipping, you don't have the opportunity to do that. So in my opinion, it's pretty much dead. But look, there is a certain small percentage that would still work. But yeah, most of it, in my opinion, stop.
And I think long-term building a brand is the play. But you know what? Unfortunately, people don't buy in that because they know building a brand takes 10 years, 15 years. And if I say...
Do a question. How many years ago did we start Little Boomers?
6.
And when was his first content video?
Oh, man.
About 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
There we go. So it's 4 or 5 years and you're still working on it?
Yeah.
Every single day? This is a way to build a brand? Yeah. Ads every single day?
Yeah, brand. Geez, it's funny because, building a brand is something, you can't accelerate it. No ads, no campaign. And we're going to talk about it in my next question. No campaign can accelerate building a brand. It's just one of those things where you sign yourself up for minimum 10 to 15 years. Like you look at companies like Nike, Toyota, all of those big brands that are household names. It takes a ton of time. Posting content organically, putting the face behind your business. It really does take time, but it's a slow grind. Building a brand, keeping customers happy, growing your network, it is a slow grind. I started with 8 kids in the program, right? 8 kids and then a little bit. Now we've got 2,500 that did it this term. But it takes time. It doesn't, it takes a ton of time and it will continue to take time. And my job, it's funny, as a franchisor, we're not being a franchisee in, I ask them a simple question. How are you going to elevate the brand? Because in a franchise industry, you build up so much time getting this brand up. One franchisee comes into the network that might not be aligned with your values, can jeopardize what you've been building for 10, 15 years. Because unfortunately with the brand, it takes so long to build, but it can come down in a second, right? In 1 second, it can come down. So during my whole franchise recruitment process, I'm spending time with the person to see, is this person going to do either one of 3 things? They're either going to elevate the brand, they're going to do nothing, or they're going to bring down the brand. I'm not interested in plateau, or I'm not interested in doing nothing. I want someone that's going to come and elevate the brand. And that's why I'm going to be super selective with which franchisees come into the network.
That's the benefit, I guess. Starting DNM, we had no brand equity. I guess that's why franchising is such an interesting model, because someone coming in as a part of the Little Boomers basketball family and community, they've established, or they're essentially piggybacking off your 6 years of hard work. Yeah. They're not coming into something that's brand new. No one's heard about it. I could probably tell you how many people are searching for Little Boomers basketball a month in Google every single month, and they're just stepping into it as of day one. So I guess building up a brand, you're also supporting any future franchisees. You're pretty much doing a lot of the legwork and a lot of the hard work.
So when somebody comes into a franchise, they're buying it. See, that's when someone says, "What am I getting for the 55 grand?" It's like, dude, it's like, what do you do? What do you get when you're buying a Jim's franchise? You're buying Jim's reputation, which is a very well household name. You can't put a monetary value to that. You can't say, "What am I getting? Is this 30 grand? Is that what my brand is?" Like you can't put a monetary value. Like if you could, it'd be in the hundreds of thousands. The investment, the time, the website, the design, the polish, the marketing, all that type of. You can't put in investment. So when somebody's coming into a franchise, a good franchise, and they see that the investment is 60 grand, I've got an equipment package, I've got a marketing package, I've got this, they don't see the hidden investment, which is the brand that you're buying. Because believe me, if you're going to come in and leverage our brand, Little Boomers Basketball, you didn't have to build that up. Versus if I want to come in and start my own basketball club, call it Ben's Little Ballers or Ben's Ballers, nobody knows Ben. He's got no brand reputation. He's got no website. He's got no trust, no authority, no Google reviews, no product, no service, no reputation at all. And that takes a ton of time. Money, it does, but it takes a ton of time. And that's one of the great advantages about franchising. You get access to that brand straight away. You're like, if you, let's say you franchise, for example, Victoria, great example. We've never been in Victoria. We launched our first franchise in Victoria. He's on 55 enrollments from day one. He's there, even though we're in a new state, because people have heard our brand in Victoria, right? It's not like it's a completely new product. You can't buy that. But my job as a franchise owner, it's the toughest job. I need to make sure that the people, because the franchisees coming in, are going to elevate that brand. Because one bad franchisee can bring you down. Now let's talk about. I want to finish on this note before we move to the digital trends. I believe 60% of business owners that are coming and looking for marketing services don't know what problem they have. They come to you for marketing advice to get leads or to get revenue or to sell more.
Yeah.
I think about 60 to 70% of business owners don't have a marketing problem. They got a broken business model.
Yeah.
And all marketing is going to do is add water to a leaking bucket, right? Their business model, I believe, needs to be refined before they start adding traffic and traffic and traffic. And I believe, like, for example, let's say I'm delivering a basketball program, and I say to you, Matt, I need more kids in my class. Can you run some Google ads in the Canterbury Bankstown area for me? No worries, Emile. Awesome. You've run some ads. It's brought me 20 new parents in the program. They come onto the court. Coaches are average. There's no program structure. Parents don't know how to find the place. And from those 20, only 5 come back.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by a broken business model. But I want to get your thoughts on it. What's your opinion on marketing versus actual, like a broken business model problem?
Yeah. It's honestly, like, I see it all the time. So I've been doing this for quite a while, and I've seen most random shit you would think of. But the most common ones when it comes to it is, all right, they've come onto marketing. We're getting them an abundance of leads. But they come to me and they go, Matt, and this is more in the past, I feel like Joey's very, very good now in hand-picking the clients that we bring on, because we're very proud of that. Matt, you're showing me all these numbers of leads in your reports, but I haven't had one successful sale come through. So the next thing I look at is I go into the back end of their website and go and look at the actual quality of leads that are coming through, and they're all pretty good. So the next question I ask them is, all right, I'm seeing these ones, they're looking quite good. When did you call this one? When did you call that one? When did you call this one? And they'll be like, oh, I called them at this time. I called them at 3:30 on the Thursday. I'm like, that came through at 9 a.m. on Monday. So you've taken over 4 business days
to lead
to get to this lead. Do you honestly think that they've only converted with you? And it's a very tough conversation to have, but with the experience I have, and Joey can attest to it, if a lead comes through, you got to call them, honestly, ideally, within 4 minutes.
I've got the 60-second rule.
Yeah, yeah.
That's on my
The sooner the better, because you've captured them and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
This is a big reason why now sites have live chatbots or AI chatbots, because you want to engage with that person for as long as possible so that someone real can get to them ASAP. That's one thing. So that's a broken business model. You don't actually know how to deal with your leads. You don't know how to close. Number 2 is they've got a marketing manager involved that has no idea or is too slow. Okay. unfortunately, when you get to a size of business that you have a marketing manager in your place instead, making decisions, making, optimizations to get you more leads, and they're not actually understanding what is the best to do or too slow to action. Like I had one case recently where a marketing manager completely disappeared for 6 months. You know what I mean? I called the business owner. I'm like, hey, mate, is your marketing manager still there? He's like, yeah, he's right next to me. I'm like, can you check if his emails work?
Yes. It's clear.
And he got unfortunately, I'm sorry, I got that person fired, but he got let go. But it happens, you know what I mean? You've hired someone that is incapable of doing the job. That's a broken business model. And then I'd say another one is if the actual service is not there. So a lot of clients, unfortunately, if you go and look at their reviews,
Quality of product or service, yeah.
if you got these days, you can't really get away with much. If you got a bad service, your Google business reviews might reflect it. If not, there'll be other reviews or news articles out there that would reflect it. And you can't fix that. There is, don't get me wrong, there's an actual SEO service out there that is called, help me with this one.
Whether there's a ruse?
Yeah, no. So when, say for example, because we've had cases, it's really, really bad, but I've worked on cases in my past where, for example, medical practices have had a very, very bad thing that's happened at their medical practice, and there's news articles that are there.
Bad PR.
Bad PR. And your job from an SEO agency is to move those bad news articles further down Google so that it doesn't disturb business. Again, if you haven't done that, or if you got offered a bad service, unfortunately, no matter what you do, from a marketing perspective, you're not going to improve your business. So yes, I answered your question is, the first thing I'd solve is your everything your actual service, your processes, your sales, what you're doing from a sales perspective. Everything needs to be everything needs to be A-okay before you even think about going to a market.
100% agree. And I think people make the mistake, they look for an answer. I need more leads or I need more customers, when in turn you should turn them back and say, look, I can give you a boatload of more leads, but it's just going to exemplify your problem, right? Like a leaking bucket analogy, where they got to actually fix the business model, fix the actual unit economics of the business. Otherwise, you'll just give them a boatload like that 60 seconds one. We have something in our company, I tell our franchisees, speed to lead. An inquiry comes through, you got to call them within 60 seconds. And there was actually a Harvard business study that compared different call times within 60 seconds. One was within 3 hours and one was within 24 hours. The one that was done within 60 seconds had a 40% chance conversion rate compared to, and every single minute that went by, the chance of conversion rate went down. So I've told my team, I said, speed to lead, call within 60 seconds. And people call within 60 seconds. You know what they say? Dang, that was real quick. I didn't know that. Now, your rookie might say, oh, that's a bit salesy, call them within 60 seconds. It's like, no, you give them all the information they need to see if you're the right fit for them. Yeah. And ultimately, it's up to their decision. But I know if a company calls me within 60 seconds, they're serious. They want my work. And you know what? If I'm very happy with what I hear, maybe I don't need to shop around. What's the purpose of shopping? But if you call them back within, say, 3 or 4 hours, they've had a chance to submit an inquiry with this company, to speak to this company, to speak to that company, versus, hey, and also the point of pain is the highest when the inquiry gets sent through. For example, if somebody sends you an inquiry for marketing, they are at their lowest point, either revenue's low or they've just had enough and they really want a solution. They're at their highest point of pain, which means they're at their highest point of change in actually bringing someone on. You call them up within 60 seconds at their highest point of pain. As a business owner, you've got the highest chance of converting. If you call them back 24 hours later, yeah, look, I just don't know if I really need it. Maybe they got sale back and things are just a little bit okay.
Yeah.
You'll be in that situation because you're calling these people when someone submits an inquiry.
Change in emotional state. So at the point of making that initial inquiry, they feel a certain way and they need to take change in a certain way. 24 hours later, maybe they got an extra few leads. Maybe they feel a little bit bad. Maybe they think, I don't need to pull the trigger anymore. That's why you've got to get them in that moment. Have a genuine conversation. It's not about trapping people. It's about getting them when they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how you do it.
Hot or sleep. When it's struck the pan, when it's hot.
That's it.
Let's talk about digital trends, where the world's moving.
Yep.
My goodness, in the last 12 to 24 months, AI, shit's changing, shit is moving freaking fast. And to be honest with you, it's quite daunting. I'm online and all these changes happening. People are I think, swamped with all these changes happening. They don't know what to do. Where do I go? Digital AI is coming. To be honest with you, I don't use Google search. I legit don't. I go into ChatGPT, recommend the 5 restaurants in the Sydney cuisine. Like I don't use the search engine that much anymore. Yeah. I go straight to ChatGPT. I actually went the other day to ChatGPT. I've got a 5-year-old interested in playing basketball. I live in Sydney. Would you recommend any beginner basketball program? I wanted to see if they were going to recommend Little Boomers basketball, and it did. It said we got one here. I'm like, oh, that's sick.
DNM.
Yeah. That's sick. I'm like, so the AI and ChatGPT is pulling out from Google and recommending it. And I think, honestly, Google search, I saw a stat, they're suffering on search volume. They released Gemini and everything, but with ChatGPT 5, things are moving fast. Matt, for somebody to stay ahead of the game,
Yeah.
right, from a marketing perspective, things are evolving.
Yeah.
Things are changing. In the next 12 to 24 months, like what are some simple things or simple tips that you can give to someone for them to stay on top of that digital trend?
So it's honestly quite simple. Like people are overcomplicating it, and that's where I think people are getting quite confused out there, because this has been happening for a very long time. People are saying SEO is dead, and you know what's funny? Like SEO has died, I think 10 times in the last 20 years.
Was a set fair.
What is triggering AI overviews within Google is your content on your website. What is triggering you coming up within ChatGPT when you've asked who is the like I'm fine, like I've got a 5-year-old that needs basketball lessons. You coming up. That is because you are ranking for that. AI is built off content, but built out what's out there. That's why there's actual issues out there right now where AI is actually giving the wrong information to people because someone's displayed the wrong information on their website. It's not making shit up from scratch. It is pulling it from somewhere. So it's very, very important for people to understand that if they are doing everything in the right way from an SEO perspective, you have the best opportunity to take advantage of the AI overviews showing up within ChatGPT or any of the other platforms that are coming out. Now, in terms of using it to your advantage, the best way to do it is to definitely get it to do, like, have a good prompt, put it in there. So for an example, like we talk about social content and the description underneath the social content, you can train your ChatGPT to talk in your sense and give you ideas. But the most important thing is to add your twist to it. Be different. Don't just copy and paste it. It's very, very easy nowadays. And if you don't know how to pick it, I can tell you a couple quick ones. So like if you see a line in between 2 words that is too long, ChatGPT. There's certain words that
text.
There's certain triggers of ChatGPT from like the words that it uses. If there's filler words that don't sound right, like it's very, very easy to see it these days. And biggest thing that I can encourage people is use it to your advantage to save time, but still apply your twist to it and make sure that it's on brand and you're actually going to get the best outcome out of it. But when it comes to actual like showing up within the actual they're starting to become search engines, but the actual like ChatGPT, it's just SEO. Like it's just having that content on your website, and that content on your website can't be AI generated either. It's very, very important that, because a lot of websites AI generating content and putting it on their website. What's happening is that content is duplicate content because AI has pulled that from somewhere else. So you're just showing someone else's content that's AI generated on your site, and you're expecting it to show up within ChatGPT. It's not going to happen. So it needs to be some 80% human written and 20% you can lean on AI.
You know, it's scary because I saw this guy that I follow on YouTube with how he runs his meta ads. Apparently Meta in the next year are releasing this in-person functionality on the ad. So how it works is if I see a dress, you click on that dress and then you can speak to an AI human on that dress, which color, which size, and it gives you instant answers to the questions. And you can prompt it there, all part of the ad. So I think where things are moving forward, I think AI speeds things up. I think people want answers quicker now more than ever. We mentioned a chatbot, like we put a chatbot on our website and we programmed it all on our website. So if a parent says, hey, I've got a 5-year-old that's never played basketball before, which program would you recommend? It recommends a program and it also finds the closest location to it. Because I think with AI now, businesses that don't get onto it are going to be dinosaurs, and people want instant answers very quickly now. And if you're one of those old timers where you're calling back in a couple of hours, or you're calling in, or your customer wants an answer, you're going to get outpaced by AI.
100%. And like, for example, if you have a big customer service team, okay, and you can incorporate some AI, like an AI chatbot or an AI email service or an AI call bot to minimize like time on the phone, or the easy questions can be answered. Like, you could probably, I've seen certain cases with some of our clients, they've cut their whole customer service team by 75% by incorporating AI. It's about using it to your advantage, not over relying on it. There still needs that human touch over there. That's anything that surpasses the AI capabilities. But yeah, it's very
I
important.
actually think since AI is exploding and it's been used in every realm of our life, I think the human touch is now going to even be more powerful.
Yeah.
Because if all emails, if everything is being sent by AI, people are going to really appreciate the human touch, like a handwritten letter, as opposed to like a PDF or a printed one. So I think that human touch is going to be even more valuable in the next 5-10 years.
Been to weddings lately where people have written their whole wedding speech through AI, and but as hell, like trying an RSVP to my cousin's wedding, and there's a QR code, and then it takes it to here, and there's the whole thing. Back in the old days, you used to go knock on the door, Joey, no, you deliver, hey, we want you at our wedding, here's the thing. Now I got to scan a QR code. yeah, I know, crazy.
It's insane. Okay, let's talk about lessons for entrepreneurs, all right? I love talking about this because you guys are in business, I'm in business. I believe all business owners experience the same issues. I've made a lot of mistakes. My goodness, I can probably write a book about the mistakes I've made. Yeah. What's one mistake that you made early on in your business that if you could warn someone else about not making that same mistake, what would it be and why?
We'll go on each.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah. This one will be an interesting one. I think the first mistake was understanding finance of the business. And I've got to show out Daniel Costa. Probably going to watch this.
He's seen.
Yeah. You always need to understand how the finances look. You got to understand what's it going to cost you to service something. You got to understand what's going to be left at the end. You got to understand how does that all look. So me being a sales guy, my job is to sell, okay? But if you're losing money on every single deal that you sell, you're just scaling an unprofitable business, which means you're losing more and more money there. So in my mind, as a sales guy, I'm saying, cool, yes, more business through the door, more business through the door, more business through the door. But then you look at your P&L, you're like,
How is this happening?
Where?
There's been no new expenses.
The fulfillment costs for the order, I understand, yeah.
we're losing money. But one thing that we had done really well at the start, and Ben had done that quite well, was we mapped out expenses to a T. To the cent. So we know where everything's going. We understood how much it would cost to service each service of ours. And then from there, we were able to remap what that should look like for our business to be big profit. So I think one mistake for us, and it's going to happen with everyone, because at the start, you just want to wiggle on your business. You want to just take with people
Yeah, door, yeah.
which I think you naturally do as a new business owner. But once you sort of have a bit of money coming through, try and have someone really look at the finances, understand what your price point should be, what your minimum price point should be, and do it up off the back of that. Otherwise, you're scaling an unprofitable business, which has massive complications down the line. You can't hire, you can't invest, you can't market, you can't get an office space.
Growing broke. Growing broke.
That's a good way to explain it.
You know, it's interesting. When I got into business, came from a sports background, I had no idea the financial numbers, like gross profit margins, what's your OPEX, operational expenses, what's your net profit margin. All I knew is something's worth $100 and you sell 10, you made $1,000. I knew the basic mathematics. And I remember one day I was doing a school holiday program, and it was a 6-hour program, right? So I was coaching with another coach, and I booked out the venue for 6 hours. And I remember we had a good turnout, had about 20, 30 kids. And I was celebrating. I was with my mum, Mary. Shout out to Mary. We went out and we said, you know what, we got to go out and have, some lunch. It's been a successful holiday camp today. This was back in the early days. And I was saying to my mum, I said, man, I've made about $2,000 here. Each kid $60, and there's about 20 grand. And then I said, oh, this is good. Lunch on me. And then she's like, yeah, but, and then I think my mum said, yeah, but we paid 6 hours for a court hire fee, and the court hire fee was $75. So I added my court hire fees in. And then I added the equipment costs on the class. And then I also paid another coach for 6 hours. And I looked at the number at the bottom and I got deflated. It was like a couple $100 after there. And it was I got
Pay tax on that.
and I got to pay tax on that too. And I was a sole trader as well, so God knows what the tax was. And I remember in that moment, my enthusiasm that was here went all the way down, all the way to the boat, because I saw how much was left over after everything. I'm here thinking I'm on cloud nine, I'm making all this money. But when I subtracted every decimal like you did on your spreadsheet, I'm like, man, this is not much. Well, I did 6 hours of hard yakka for a couple $100 left over. So then I read a book called Numberphobic or Numophobic or something, and it was the numbers, business numbers for dummies. And it really broke down the different numbers that you need to know as a business owner. And not many people know this, the gross profit margins, the net profit margins, what you need to keep your COGS, your cost of goods as services at a minimum to make sure you got enough for you. And I knew it off by heart. Now I know, like you said before, if a deal comes through, couple of grand or whatever for whatever school program, but then I do the numbers and stuff and it's not what the gross profit margins is to make it attainable, I say, you know what, it's not worth my while. But to be in that position, you need to know your numbers in your business.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, you can't go back in time and say from day one, hey, I'm going to do this. Because, like, at the start, you're just doing what you think is right. But I think that's what you call, like, a growing pain. So you get to a certain stage where you hit that spreadsheet, you're like, shit, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And you go back and you try and change it. And for us, it was hard. You couldn't really change one of our existing clients. But, like, obviously, you got to keep them legacy, and from there, you sort of go home. But no, it's definitely a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you're watching this, go out, take a look at your numbers. And I sometimes say, like, use a few examples. If you're doing a website, do that website project, write it in an Excel sheet, identify what it looked like from a cost perspective, what's your profit. And some things as well that you don't account for is like unmanned hours. Like, you can account for everything, but how much time is required on project management as well? So yeah.
I want to talk about one thing before we move over to our closing questions. When I first started business, I don't know if you guys were like this as well. I read this book called Profit First, and the book was kind of alluding to the fact that business owners pay themselves last, whatever's left over in the bank. And they would pay their suppliers, they would pay their employees, they would make sure everybody else got fed, but they would pay themselves last, which is whatever was left over. And most of the time, it wasn't much. And I remember thinking, as business owners, we take on the most risk. We're the ones up at night. We're the ones thinking about shit, right?
Yeah.
Employees don't think about stuff.
No.
We're the ones that are constantly in that survival mode where we got to keep ahead of the trends. And then I had this revelation where, like, man, I got to be paying myself the most substantial wage because I'm the one taking on the most risk. So I never became, I changed my viewpoint. Instead of whatever's left over, you know, is I'll make. Because after you pay all the suppliers, you ain't left anything. So I said to myself, you know what? I gave myself a goal wage that I wanted to pay for myself, and I made sure to pay myself first before other people. And that was an interesting thing I found out when I read Profit First, because I see a lot of business owners that are swamped, that are working, God knows, they've got 10 hats on. They're doing the marketing, they're doing the sales, they're doing everything. They're the ones hustling. They're thinking about their business all the time, taking on the most risk, but are getting compensated the less.
It's a very interesting point. Still to today, like, we struggle, I guess, even accepting that we want to take some profit, or even accepting that we want to pay ourselves a wage. Even till today, sometimes we feel a bit guilty. It's weird. It's like stripping away money from your baby. Like, but at the same time, like, he's still checking his Apple Watch. You know, by 7, 8, 9 p.m., all three of us are still working. 10:30 last night, I'm still drafting up an email. You're you're doing things in your personal life, and you're still responding to emails. You're still answering staff members. Daniel on Saturday, 2 weeks ago, him and his missus went to the office and decked out the whole office again without us.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think that, you know what, we do deserve it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I lose my sleep. We lose our sleep.
Hell.
We lose our hair. Oh, we sacrifice our relationship. It's a big thing, bro.
Sorry, bro.
No, it's a big thing. You know, not a lot of people talk about it, and I'm sure you probably realize yourself, but you sacrifice a lot. Your relationship suffers big time. Like, these boys are married, and that can be a conversation in itself. But, man, we're at home we're at the office till 9, 10 p.m. every single day.
Yeah. You know what, you're so right. You feel guilty when you take money. You feel guilty when you take money out, but then it's so 100% agree. I've shifted my perspective where I've looked at my business is like an asset that funds my lifestyle now, rather than I feel guilty versus it. It's an asset that funds my lifestyle. Because, man, the reality is, if you don't want that stress, like all that stress that we can take on, we're all capable. We can earn 150 grand a year, 130 grand a year with the median wage is 90 grand. With our skill set, we can go to the market. You as a sales rep, you as an account manager, owner, we can go to the market and earn 150 and have 9 to 5. And after 5, we don't have to worry about it. But we take on that risk.
I welcome, like I told Uz all the time, if someone from our staff said they want to go do their own thing, give it a shot.
Yeah.
I welcome them to do it because it is so difficult. And that's why now I appreciate a dollar even more, because like sometimes I look at people like, man, like it is so hard to make a dollar if only you actually understood, because like something as simple as accounts receivable, you might think we're making $3,000 a month from that client, but by the time you consider everything, and then that client hasn't paid us for 3 months, bro, I'm still paying your payroll.
Yeah.
Where's the conversation around that? Like,
Well-
I haven't collected any money yet. We're 3 months behind. Now with the debt collectors that we have to get involved to try and collect the money. Now the business has lost the profit for that month. So
But that is so true. People, and similar thing, people think because I'm in franchising, they hear the word franchising is synonymous with McDonald's. And that there's millions of dollars being turned over and I've got a license to print money. That's what people think. Shit gets to their head. But they don't. Like if I sat down to them and say, hey, let me show you my spreadsheet. I had 100 grand in payroll, had 50 grand in marketing, 10 grand in here, 15 grand in here, 13 grand in here, 20 grand in here. I said, do you still think I'm, do you still got that illusion in your head? They don't understand the risk we take, the overheads that we need to pay our business. They only think top line. He's got 500 kids at the program. My God, he's swimming in money. He's swimming in money. He's got 15 franchisees. Well, what's he doing? Like they don't see the dollar set.
your alarm ringing at 5 a.m. in that.
No, they don't see that.
I don't see the time 5 years ago where you deactivated all your social media for 12 months.
Yeah.
I don't see the times where you weren't going out with us for 24 months to build up the brand. Like that's all gone. They forget about that. But that's what I try and say. It's like that all comes at a sacrifice. It comes at a cost, and I think you deserve.
You deserve to be compensated tenfold, disproportionately because of the risk that you have taken. And I say this, it's the tip of the iceberg analogy, right? I'll bring somebody interested in franchising in our business. They'll come to Riverwood. It's our gold standard location, right? We've been doing it for 6 years. They'd come in there and they see, oh my God, 20 kids walking in and then another 20 and then another 20. Yeah. And everyone's got the branded uniform and the coaches are amazing. They see it. And what I always say and what Mary says is, hey, I just want to let you know what you're seeing right now in this hour is you're actually seeing 6 years in 1 hour. So I go, what do you mean? It's like, this wasn't overnight. This was 6 years of constantly building and building and building. All you're seeing right now is 6 years in 1 hour of all the constant work that we had to do to get to the point where this venue's got 300, 400 kids coming through the doors every week. But if you don't say that to them, it becomes an illusion and an expectation where, okay, if I'm going to become a franchise, I'm going to be pumping like Riverwood, the gold standard, within 3 or 6 months, right? They don't see it. They only see the top line. And then, you get a new car and they say, oh, he's doing well. I was like, dude, no, you didn't see the payments here that I paid, the sleep, waking up, the overheads that I had to pay. And it fakes people out. And unfortunately, social media is to blame for that. They see the top image, they see the post, they see the business, they see a new franchise. It gets to their head. That ain't the reality of it.
And one thing to add, like as an example, that things that you don't see, like when DNM started, to give you transparency, like Matt was getting married, had to quit a full-time, high-paying job whilst having to afford to pay out a wedding. This is just to give an example of sacrifice. To then come down, what were we paying ourselves? Like 15 grand, and you weren't taking a salary at the start? Like, nah, we're paying ourselves 15K each. Me and had 15K, and he wasn't taking a salary.
I think that may be illegal.
Yeah, like, bro, we'll just take
awards.
There's a WhatsApp chat. There's a WhatsApp chat where we got like day one conversation.
Yeah.
Bro, we were just taking petrol money. Left high-paying jobs, petrol money, just for the first few months, and he had to pay a wedding off. Imagine putting your job, trying to pay off a wedding, massive paper, working so many hours, you're not seeing the results initially, bro. That's
tough. Yeah,
that's tough.
And you know what? I'll finish on this point. And I learned this transition from employee to business owner when I left PCYC. So when I started coaching at PCYC, I was on hourly rate. When I was out coaching at PCYC, I couldn't give a rat's ass if there was 5 kids in the program, or 10 kids in the program, or 20 kids in the program. Even if we had sold out holiday camps for 60 kids, where the center was making money, I got paid my $25 an hour, right? So if there was 1 kid in the program, I didn't lose sleep. The owner may have lost sleep because they're paying me $30 an hour and there's literally nobody there. I didn't lose sleep. I got home at 5 o'clock Never thought about it again. How am I going to get kids? Didn't think about it. When I moved into a business owner, overnight, all these things grew, you know? Like all of a sudden now, if you're doing a class and there's 3 or 4 kids, you're thinking in the back of your mind, gee, how am I going to get this class to pump up? What marketing initiatives am I going to do? What messaging am I going to have to do? How am I going to get kids in the program? So all of a sudden, that hard 5 o'clock cutoff, it's just no longer. It goes beyond. And that's when I knew, okay, this is a transition. This is why not many people do it, the transition from employee to owner. I want to finish off with this question because I know we're going at 10. I've got this on my phone. Now, the funny thing is I gave them questions to prepare, but I didn't put this question here. We've got something else we're going to get to after. But this is, I know you're laughing. This is a question that I want to ask both of your boys. It's going to be an interesting question, okay? And I wasn't on the sheet, so you couldn't prepare for it. I'm going to give you a bit of a pre-context. See, Joey's like, oh, damn, man, I haven't prepared for this one. Here we go. Matt, I'm going to ask you first.
Yeah.
Imagine you're at a funeral. Your best friend steps up to the podium to deliver the eulogy, and you suddenly realize it's your funeral. Mm-hmm. In that moment, what would you want them to say about you, and how would you want to be remembered?
Damn, that's deep. Well, to my friends, they always say, like, I'm known as the guy that's always got a smile on his face, the guy that's always upbeat and somewhat the friendly one, you know what I mean, the nice guy. That's what I think I'll be remembered for. A lot of people do know me as that, you know what I mean, that chill guy that is smiling. I do think that's changed a bit over time, though. I think what I'd like to be remembered for is eventually someone that's, you know what I mean, I've got a wife now. One day we'll have a family. I think a great family man that supported his family and built something with, you know what I mean, 2 other great guys, you know what I mean, that I can now call two of my best mates along some of my other friends. And we actually got it to a point where I could start, you know what I mean, giving to the community, being charitable, being something a bit more than what I am now. So I want to move from, you know what I mean, the guy that's known for his smile and his nice attitude, like, and his, you know what I mean, upbeat attitude to, yeah, great family man, successful, yes, but also charitable.
Yeah. Joey, on your funeral, on your eulogy, your best friend comes up to you. What do you want them to say in the eulogy about you? You didn't think I was going to get down there, did you? No.
I'd love for them to say I was present, and he made the most of it. That's it. Present and made the most of it. I was telling the boys the example the other day. I was working on my laptop, and Mum was trying to talk to me, and I just kept working, bro. Just kept working. And then the next morning, I'm like, I felt shit. Mum was trying to talk to me, and I just kept working. So it's about just being present, like putting aside the business, putting aside everything.
Tough,
It's like we're still human at the end of the day, bro. Like, business is business. Don't get me wrong, but put that aside. It's like, I'd love to be remembered that, like, he was always there. He was at the barbecues. He didn't sacrifice family time. He was always with the family. He worked to the best of his ability. He lived a good life. He was happy, and that's it, bro. Sure. Yeah. It's not about, like, I think you mentioned this before, the course. I'm not the money. Some money like that.
Yeah.
It's about just fulfilling, like I think you're doing a dishonor to God and a dishonor to yourself if you can't fulfill your potential.
Yeah.
Like, if you've been given a gift, because not everyone has.
You are doing a disservice to yourself.
Like, if you've been given, like, the gift of persistence and of intelligence, make the most of it, because someone else doesn't have that, bro. So it's like, really, really making most of it.
And you know what's funny? We actually didn't revisit this at the start, but what Joey made us all, like, when he made us all write, Daniel, myself and Joey, we had to write on a piece of paper all we wanted out of DNM Digital before we ever got even started, before we brought on our first client, before, you know what I mean, what was our vision? And talking about mums, like, we all wrote something very, very similar, and that was, we want to build a service that we'd be comfortable selling to our mothers, or our mothers investing in.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, family's a big thing for us. And we're trying to, you know what I mean, live up to our parents' names and make them proud. And I think that's the biggest thing, you know what I mean, that we want to stick to. We want to stick by, you know what I mean? We don't want to steer away from that. And I think a lot of businesses do. And I think another thing as well, going back to the prior one, we were talking about the struggles, you know what I mean? And especially surrounding people from your past, you know what I mean, that are watching you go through this journey. I heard something recently and it's somewhat stuck with me. People will always question why you're working so hard. Okay. And then when they start seeing the benefits, you know what I mean, a better car, maybe a nice watch on your wrist, or you know, I mean, a different kind of lifestyle, they're the first ones as well to assume that you've been lucky to get that.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's made me realize that I actually don't give a shit what people think anymore.
Yeah,
I actually only really care about what my wife thinks,
yeah,
what my parents think, my brothers think, my business partners think, and the closest inner circle I have.
yeah.
And that's it.
I had that change at 18, same thing. You stop caring about what people think. And if you're going to start your own business, you have to, bro.
Yeah.
You have to stop caring about what people think. Because I remember beforehand, you're trying to please everybody. When you please everyone, you can't please anyone, right? As they say, even Jesus, must the person got crucified there. So you can't please everyone. And if you're going to start your own business, you, as long as you're living with integrity and your close circle, you know, like you said, your mum, for me, my partner, my mum, my dad, as long as they're all like happy, right? I couldn't care less what the world thinks. And they're going to have their opinion, and so be it. But boys, I wanted to say thank you for coming on to my podcast. Thank you for being our first guest speaker. We had a really good conversation, and I think the audience really enjoyed it. So from me, I say kudos and thank you, boys.
Thanks for having us.
First one done. We are top 3, 2, 1.